So if you want to lose fat without losing muscle after the age of 35, you're going to need a little bit more than just following a calorie deficit. So in today's video, I would love to talk to you about nutrient timing, training precision, and how these two should be intertwined for people who are aging. Okay. And this really goes across the board for anyone looking to get in shape. So what we'll basically go into is some of the challenges that men over 35 face to lose fat but retain muscle mass. And the reason why this is important, because more often than not, people just focus on losing weight. And the problem with that is it leads to that soft, skinny fat look. And then we'll also preview the kind of the relationship between fat loss and muscle retention, how to time your meals, as well as how to adjust your training intensity, okay? So the very first thing is understanding why a lot of men struggle to retain muscle mass during a fat loss phase after the age of 35. Now, the reason I point out after the age of 35 is because at the age of 30, 35 plus, even 40s, normally we start to experience kind of these effects of all of our bad habits. A lot of times you can get away with it when you're younger because you're making up for it with extra activity. And sometimes, when activity slows down over time, you become sedentary in your work, you maybe move to a new environment. A lot of that happens around that age. And it's not your metabolism, despite what you think, but this is incredibly important for people to realize so that they know that they can change their muscle to fat ratio, but you have to make sure that you have the right focus, okay? So we're going to be talking about training intensity and protein frequency when we get into the nutrient timing session portion of this video, okay? But one thing that you should know is sarcopenia risk increases around the age of 40. And this is something that a lot of the clients that we work with coming into the program over the age of 35, we work with clients all the way up to the age of 60 and 60 plus actually. And this is often one of their biggest concerns, okay? Not to mention also vanity. A lot of people who work with us want to make sure that they're not the out of shape dad. And that's something that we, totally understand. And that's a reason why a lot of people work with us too. So in section 2 of this video, I would like to go over the nutrient timing strategies that we have for a lot of the men that we work with. The first thing is protein distribution. So we want a good amount of protein feedings throughout the day. And the reason why is because that will stimulate muscle protein synthesis. But just so you know, there is a myth out there saying that if you consume over a certain amount of protein, like 30 grams of protein in one feeding, that it all goes to waste. That's really not true, okay? In fact, they've done new studies that actually tell us that that actually might be more effective than spreading out protein feedings throughout the day, but most people just don't have the appetite for that. So 3 to 4 protein feedings throughout the day works well for a lot of our clients. Now, pre-workout fueling is also very important too. A lot of people, they try and restrict calories so much, and what ends up happening is they end up losing a lot more muscle, okay? And it's not only because they're under eating on calories, but it's they're under eating on carbohydrates. And your carbohydrates will allow you to lift heavier in the gym, keep your muscle bellies full, and allow you to recover from your training once you finish. And you may not know this, but when you train in the gym, you're using glycogen in your muscles as energy. And when you leave the gym, you're going to need to replenish that glycogen as well as consume protein to ensure that you're hitting the recovery process to a T, okay? Now, post-workout recovery in the form of, or just recovery in general, is making sure that you have enough off days throughout the week in order to recover from your training properly. This also plays a huge role in allowing you to retain muscle mass as well as dropping body weight, because if you're not allowing yourself to have the recovery days and you're not allowing yourself to prioritize sleep, your testosterone will continue to decrease, and it'll make it really hard for you to have the strength to hit PRs in the gym, which will ultimately allow you to change your body fat composition, okay? Now, in section 3 of this video, I want to talk about some training variables that matter the most if you're looking to retain muscle mass while you're trying to lose body fat. So the first thing that I want you to focus on is going to be progressive overload, okay? This is basically making sure that you're getting stronger over time. If you're in the gym, just going through the motions, you're never increasing the weights, your muscles will never have a reason to grow. Now, let's also talk about volume and intensity balance. This is a very hot topic. I would try and hit 10 to 15 hard sets per week, per muscle group, and you can spread it up in many different ways. A lot of times people don't like doing this themselves because it requires, math. It requires setting it up. It requires planning it out ahead of time. So they work with us and we make sure that every client crosses these things off their list, okay? Next thing I'll talk about is mobility and stability, okay? Making sure that you have a good mobility routine that you're doing to either warm up or one that you're doing at night is something that will keep you mobile. But another thing that really helps is training with a full range of motion. I'm not a huge fan on 15 to 20-minute warm-ups. I'm not a huge fan of these very long, drawn-out stretching routines because a lot of the movements that we do involve stretching our limbs. They involve stretching through full ranges of motion. For example, an RDL is going to basically mimic touching your toes, and you're doing so with a heavy load. So that's going to help your flexibility and mobility long term if you're training with the full range of motion. So it's one less thing to worry about, okay? Now, I want to reiterate this again. Losing fat while maintaining muscle after the age of 35 is about precision, not punishment. And this is why a lot of guys over the age of 35 really struggle to see their muscle to fat ratio change how they want. They're focusing way too much on decreasing calories and doing the wrong type of workouts. And what I mean by wrong type of workouts is that they are focusing on cardio-based workouts where they're not lifting heavier weight over time. And that will make it really easy for you to lose a lot of muscle. So by prioritizing these weight training principles that I mentioned in this video, by prioritizing the protein feedings, the nutrient timing, and everything else that I mentioned, this will give you a lot more bang for your buck if your goal right now is to drop body fat and retain muscle, not just drop the weight and not care about how much muscle you lose. So thanks so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up for me. Click this video right here, this icon, if you want to see more fat loss trainings, or it might be on the other side. And this video right here if you want to see a popular video that we made a couple weeks ago. And if you are looking to be held accountable, if you want us to build out a plan for you, we have a very thought out process that's proven to work. We've put hundreds of men through this process to allow them to shed body fat, retain muscle, and not only do that, but keep it off for good. So we have plenty of testimonials to show you. If you want to inquire about that, just click the link down below to schedule a call, and then we'll go from there. Bye.